BBC World Service. I'm Lyse Doucet, and this is A Wish for Afghanistan. It's been 2 months since the Taliban's lightning sweep into power. 2 months. A moment which turned lifetimes upside down, destroyed plans and dreams. Many are in mourning.
The uncertainty is killing everyone, and I just seeing everything collapse.
Many, but not all. Some are celebrating.
I became very much happy. I was waiting for this day to remove these corrupt people from the power and Taliban take the power and war finish. They sacrificed their lives. They sacrificed their bodies. They withdraw America from Afghanistan.
Dr. Roshanak Wardak, gynaecologist, ex-MP, former refugee. Her home in the village of Saidabad is just a short drive from Kabul, 2 hours away, but a world apart. It's been the worst of war zones for many years.
Every day, for at least 20 hours, we had bombardment, we had rockets, we had heavy fighting here. War is the most worst thing. In the last 40 years, there was war in my country, and just since 1.5 months, this war has stopped. And I can't believe that I'm in Afghanistan. Now it's a dream for me.
The return of the Taliban, like a dream come true, the doctor says. Except there's a big but. Remember that Afghan expression we started this series with, kashke? In other words, if only. Dr. Roshanak's words, her warning, are worth listening to. After all, the Taliban have been in charge in her village for a long while.
15 years is a very long time. They lied with us. They made mistake with us, with our province. Other provinces which were under their control in these 15 years, even there, they are not honest in their speech.
More on what she's warning about later in our programme, so keep listening. First, to her village. This is what a drive to Dr. Roshanak's province, Maidan Wardak, sounds like. The road is potholed, cratered in places, non-existent in others. It stretches from Kabul all the way to Kandahar in the south. It's a highway once hailed as an achievement of Western aid. Then it became a road of robbers and fighters. Afghanistan has always been a country of contrasts. The cities, Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, Jalalabad, Mazar-e-Sharif, attracted the most aid, investment, interest. The villages, the rural areas, bore the brunt of every war for the past 4 decades. Dr. Wardak's home and clinic sit close to this road. It was a frontline.
There was about more than 1,000 bullets in the walls of my house. More than 1,000 bullets. Because during night there was fighting, and during day there was fighting, always.
Now it's safe, secure, and stunning. Wardak, nestled in mountains, is known for its valleys of wheat, orchards of apricots, but most of all, its apples. We're sitting in your apple orchards. Beautiful day. You're smiling. We can hear the birds, the water rushing through the orchard, and this is home for you. This is the province in which you were born. What are your memories of growing up in Wardak?
Yes, this is my village, and the garden belongs to my father. I born here, then we went to Kabul city, and I have grown up there. I studied there my school, and then I went to medical university. Then, unfortunately, Russian invade our country.
That would have been the 1970s. Was it unusual for you to be studying as a young woman as a doctor?
Studying at that time was very difficult. We didn't have much facilities in Afghanistan. And unfortunately, from one side there was war, and from other side we had very much economic problems, and we lost members of our family. Especially, I lost my father during my time in university.
What happened to your father?
My father was a landlord, and he was against these communist people. All of my family was against the invasion of Afghanistan by Russian, and they started to fight with them, but unfortunately they captured them and they put them in the prison. They killed my father, and we didn't know up till now, we didn't see the dead body of my father.
Her family fled, her brothers escaped to India, to America. Roshanak and her mother went to neighbouring Pakistan. For 15 years, like millions of Afghans, they were refugees. But she had her medical training and how it was needed. There were a lot of injured coming because you were in Pakistan, which was some of the bases of the Mujahideen who were fighting the Soviets and the Soviet-backed government in Afghanistan. Heavy, heavy years of war.
You know, life of a doctor is full of memories, good memories, bad memories. We had many, many patients, injured patients especially. They were coming from Afghanistan to our hospital, and we were treating them. And if you save life of a person, it's a very nice memory for you.
Tell me about the Afghan refugee women who were fighting their own battles of being confined largely to their tents, living with poverty. That was also a kind of a war.
Without female efforts, it's impossible for a man to fight. And so it means that Afghan ladies are, I feel, they are much stronger than other ladies in the world. They grown up strong sons, and they help their brothers, and they help their husbands for the finishing of these invasions and occupations.
1989, the Soviet occupation ended. A brutal civil war soon started. But by 1996, Dr. Roshanak and her mother decided time to go home. The civil war was still raging then. Why did you decide to come?
You know, I'm a doctor. I didn't have any relation with the war or not. I had relation with the people who are sick. I had to treat them. During these years, our infrastructures are destroyed, and here were no schools, no hospitals. Really, we didn't have any gynaecologist in our province at that time. So I came to my province. When I came back, I couldn't recognize that this is my village or my house because everything was destroyed. Even trees were not present. They cut the trees.
Within a few months, fighters from amongst the Mujahideen who fought Soviet troops took power in Kabul. The Taliban, an Islamist movement led by their emir, Mullah Muhammad Omar, and Afghans weary of war welcomed them.
And when Taliban came, everything became better. Security became very much better. When he gave order to finish narcotics, within one day, narcotics, growth, trade, everything finished within one day, all over Afghanistan.
This is what the growing of opium poppies,
Yes,
this was such a lucrative trade.
Stopped it just within one day because that was one order, not orders from 2-3 offices.
The ban in 2000 was impressive and effective, but it didn't last long.
The only thing which Taliban is against is girls' education and women works. They didn't allow. But fortunately, they never made any problem for me. I was a doctor in that hospital, and they helped me.
There weren't many women, almost no women working across Afghanistan. Why did they allow you to work?
Actually, I also don't know the main reason why they were not against me. But I think because I was helping the ladies, especially their own ladies. They didn't like ladies to go to a male doctor, so they were coming to me. Also, I obeyed their orders. I had Islamic satar. I cover my body always.
Dr. Roshanak stands apart in so many ways. She also resisted what must have been unrelenting pressure to take another traditional path, marriage and motherhood. I must ask you a personal question. Why aren't you married? Was there pressure? You smile. You smile. Your eyes crinkling when you smile.
Actually, I love my job more than a person. In our society, a lady should marry, but I love my work more.
September 11th, 2001. The attacks in New York and Washington, which led to the US-led invasion of Afghanistan. Do you remember that day?
It was not a good day for us. It was a bad day. I felt there is something behind this. And it was surprising for me why America blamed Afghan Taliban for that big event which happened in America.
You didn't think Al-Qaeda had done it and Al-Qaeda was being hosted by the Taliban?
No, it was not the reason. Because it was a big blame, not something simple. Anyhow, Taliban went and America came and they occupied our country. They forget our history. What we did with British people, what we did with Russian people, they made the same mistake, brought their troops there, and the American made one person president, the other one a vice president, the other one minister. Why they didn't include Taliban? Taliban were waiting for 5 years that they will participate in the new government which American made.
But they brought aid money, they brought diplomats.
For their own benefit. They thought we will occupy this country. And this was the truth.
A scathing account of events which set in train the next 20 years. Every year, more Taliban came back. More foreign troops kept coming, including a surge of thousands of US soldiers in 2009. One of the first places they went, Wardak province.
Americans were walking here and there all the day among our villages. We don't like this.
But they say they were here to give you security, protect civilians.
Security from whom?
From the Taliban, you said, had come back.
Because Taliban were villagers. Our own boys. They were not fighting with us. Just for those people living in Kabul, Taliban created some problem, not for us.
I was in this district in 2009 with a young US lieutenant. Listen to a bit of our report on their new strategy. It was all about winning hearts and minds. A typical village in this area. You can hear the water rushing now in this stream. There's no piped water here, no electricity. The village doesn't have its own school.
Is there a spot up here where he would like a well to be built, and then I can't guarantee, but I can pass it along to my bosses?
When Lieutenant Anderson sits down and crosses his legs, takes off his helmet, his wraparound sunglasses, puts down his rifle, he looks like a young 24-year-old kid from the United States. But what a job he has on his shoulders here.
Actually, you have kind of blacklisted our area as those people who are not cooperative with the government and with you. And I should say that we contributed 40 people to police. Their salaries were not paid, and we were so disappointed of the inefficiencies of the local authorities and what has been done to us.
And as we leave, one of the soldiers breaks into song, a traditional Pashtun song. I first met Dr. Roshanak during this visit. She was just as critical then as she is now of US efforts, like their push to create a so-called Afghan Public Protection Force, enlisting local men.
They want to kill one brother by another brother. For example, one family, they have 2-3 Talib, and they have 10 unemployed other men. This protection group, they ask the family to give that 10 unemployed person, and they will train them. They will come back to the village. From whom they will keep this village? From Talib? From his own cousin? From his own brother? You will accept if I give you gun and I say kill your cousin or kill your brother? Of course, no.
The doctor didn't see much light in this US-supported order. Still, she decided to stand for Parliament. You were born into a family of politicians. Your father was a member of Parliament when Afghanistan was a monarchy. Your grandfather was a member of Parliament. You yourself, in 2005, ran for Parliament. Was that a hopeful, exciting moment for you?
At that time, our parliament met for the first time after 30 years war, and there was not much corruption. People were campaigning for me, and they voted for me. Most of Taliban voted for me, and it was very much excited really for me. And I completed some of my promises, like 2 roads I made for them, and water resources, and 1 electricity dam, and also education. And unfortunately, Taliban came and they stopped the work.
And when she tried to stand again in 2010, the Taliban also stopped her. They were against elections too, and still are.
They didn't allow me. They said no, because we will not allow election here in Wardak.
People stayed away from the polling station. The turnout was really low in that 2010.
They filled the boxes.
So there was ballot stuffing.
By fraud.
Fraud.
Yes.
Who was responsible for the fraud?
Those MPs, which they elected themselves. We never saw our MP within last 10 years. They never came to this province.
Well, they couldn't because Taliban were in charge.
Even in the provincial council, they never came.
In the international community?
That money was stolen. $3 trillion came from America to us. $3 trillion. If you distribute these dollars, $889 million for each province will reach. You will make Wardak like New York. Where this money went?
It's a question so many Afghans are asking. Where did all this money, all that goodwill go? There's been so much corruption, so many mistakes. After 20 years, Afghanistan is still one of the poorest countries in the world. And for so many, it's been one of the deadliest places to live. The doctor saw it firsthand. Did you lose a lot of friends, lose any family?
You know, from those people which were Taliban, yes, about 80% they died in this fighting.
In your village, in this area?
In all my district, and even nearby district. And now I'm happy when I see them inside Kabul. I see, you know, the poorest, most poor person, which was Talib, now he can walk in Kabul. In these 20 years, it was impossible for him to go to Kabul and walk there because it was for the high class.
But they also carried out horrific suicide bombings. I saw them myself. Civilians killed, targeted assassinations.
Lyse Doucet. It was war.
But why target university students? Why target human rights activists? Why blow up bombs in crowded squares?
I will tell you, these accidents.
Accidents? They were planned?
No, these accidents, they were planned in Kabul. Most of them were not by Taliban.
So by who?
These attacks, these were by our own governments, by other groups. Some of them in military bases, armed police forces. These were planned by Taliban.
You were working amongst the Taliban. You're a doctor. You see injuries of people. You never said to them, you too have to protect civilians?
Yes, I said sometimes when I was discussing with Taliban, they were saying to me that why they attack my village? Why they don't capture just me? Why they attack in whole village?
A very different doctor, you may be thinking. Unflinching in her criticism, unconventional in her life, and unapologetic about her position. When some of the female members of parliament, female members of the last government ask for women's rights, the Taliban say, you're an elite. You don't represent the majority of Afghan women.
Taliban is correct. Taliban is correct. They took medals, they took awards. They were not representative of Afghan ladies. Their breakfast was in Dubai, their dinner was in London, and they benefit from all those
opportunities.
They benefited, but they didn't do anything for the Afghan ladies.
Well-
Why they didn't raise their voice when our schools were closed? 99% of our schools were closed. Why they didn't when the money was stolen by the ministers?
I think they did raise it. They spoke about corruption.
What they did? What was the result?
Some would say, Dr. Wardak, that you also are part of the elite that you criticize, that you are more educated, you have more wealth than all of the women in this province that you speak for.
Which lady is living among their own poor people in the villages? But I live here and I have this opportunity to go to America, or I told you my brothers are in abroad, but I prefer to live here. I love my village, my house, my dear Afghanistan.
But, and this is the big but we started this program with, there is an issue that's worrying Dr. Roshanak a lot. She wants to warn the world about it because she tried and failed with the Taliban. She even left her job in the hospital to work on it. Education for girls and women.
You know, in 2000, when Taliban left, we started some schools for girls till 2005. But in 2005, again, Taliban came and they burned the schools, and also they stopped the girls from going to school. From that time up till now, about 7 months ago, I left my job in the hospital. I started to work for the Wardak girls. I discussed with the Taliban and I asked them for cooperation to open the schools. First, they told me that, okay, we will cooperate with you. You should make lists of schools, how many schools you need. We made the lists. They promised me that we will call female also to become teacher, but they didn't call them. Up till now, 7 months passed and they didn't allow. I am sure that they will not allow girls to go to schools. I don't know why they are afraid from education of ladies. God gave this permission to us that man and woman, both of them should be educated and they should try for their own education. Why do we want to make rules which is against the rules of God?
Since the Taliban took charge in August across Afghanistan, most secondary schools for girls have stayed shut. It's only temporary, the Taliban say. But Dr. Roshanak warns, don't believe them.
They are lying. They are not honest. I ask foreign countries, especially Islamic countries, to convince them. They're afraid from the international community if they clearly announce their policy about the girls or about the female. Again, they will impose the sanctions on them.
They were a pariah state in
Yes.
the 1990s. They understand now that international recognition
Yes.
is important,
Very much important.
but not important enough to change their policy so far.
Especially money is very much important. They know now.
But even you, who has lived under their rule for so many years now, you say they still haven't changed on the education of girls and the working of women.
We have the experience, this bad experience with Taliban. I am sure after this, they will not allow the girls because we tried this.
As we sit here in the midst of these apple trees, the apples are red and full. I think they're about to be picked. What is your wish for Afghanistan now?
First, security, which is the big problem for development of a country. Second, to eliminate corruption from our government completely, because corruption made the people hopeless completely. If there is corruption, there will not be any justice. There will not be any development. And the most important thing, to solve the education problem, because an educated lady will bring uneducated children, and uneducated children cannot do anything for their country. We will be the same, like before.
You have cautious hope?
Again, the same hope to never hear even firing of one bullet. And we should make our country like the most developed countries. God help us. We can do it. If we decide, we can do it. Afghan nation is the most strong nation in the world, I think. So now we should build our country.
Next time on A Wish for Afghanistan, the fight to ensure the music doesn't die.
My friends and colleagues are not going to stop making music. They'll do it if they have to hide and do it. If they have to become refugees to do it, just giving up music isn't an option for us.
21-year-old Arsan Fahim, composer, conductor, pianist. He created the music for our series. And another piece with Afghanistan's first female composer, 16-year-old cellist Mina Karimi.
They cannot silence me because this is my right to do what I love to do.